remember that there is a serious quality that is, synonymous with Sugarshack that I want to make sure I am, if not achieving, exceeding if I can in any way. And not to say that that's something I think is even possible, but it's like, I'm going to give it every bit I can. Like, the guys were laughing at me. That's right, man.
I like that answer.
Sit back, relax, 'cause it's time for another podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sugarshack podcast. My name is Bryce. I'm the host here, and we got an exciting day planned in general at the Shack. But first, I want to introduce who we're hanging out with today. We've got Alex, Casement, and Barrett, Zablo, the audio team of Sugarshack. Say hello.
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 How's it going, guys?
Good, man.
Good?
It's a beautiful morning here in sunny Florida.
It's a great morning. What is it? It's like 75 degrees right now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Sun's shining. We've got a huge day here. We've got sessions, more podcasts later on today. And we've changed up the podcast set here a little bit. And we want to thank our friends Traeger for sending this awesome smoker grill. It's the Ironwood 885. We're going to be cooking and grilling and smoking and eating all day today. What's the menu today? Greg from Pineapple Cast is cooking food.
Oh yeah.
So let's hear what we got making.
Pull it up.
I'm already
Heard a little
making
steelhead trout. I think we had some mahi,
Yeah.
chicken thighs, some pork loin, I think, and then vegan kebabs.
Damn, you got that memorized.
Yeah, dude. Server
memorized
brain.
this
shit.
Never leaves, Server brain.
So, well, we just wanted to take some time today. We interview and sit down with a lot of creatives and artists and get to hear their story. But a lot of times the audio team of really any multimedia company kind of takes a back seat. No one really knows, but they make the magic happen. So we wanted to take some time to talk to Alex, to talk to Barrett, and just, kind of go behind the scenes of the story, how, we've evolved to the Sugarshack sound, and hear some fun stories along the way, maybe share some tips and tricks. That's kind of, I think we're going to do some of that.
Yeah, we can nerd out, man.
Nerd out, yeah. Got some awesome
hard.
questions that came in for Q&As.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
So yeah, we're just going to take some time to get to know you guys better and hang out, and looking forward to it.
Hell yeah.
So, it's
Thanks,
good.
Bryce.
So kicking off, Alex, maybe just share your background for people that, maybe don't know your history and
Sure.
just the development of how you got into the audio industry and then what's brought you here to Sugarshack today.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. So I started, this is like classic story for any audio guys. Like, okay, I was playing in a band when I was like 14, but that's real, So this was kind of like on the verge of the technology era of recording where you can start doing home recordings fairly easily. It's kind of like in that beginning where it's like, it's kind of easy, but it's also a lot of learning curve.
Yeah.
And so I decided to start a recording studio in my parents' garage.
Sick.
Yep. I remember going
Did they enjoy that? How did they feel about that?
I remember going to my mom one day and I was like, I have this idea. I want to build this soundproof booth thing. I'm like, but the catch is I can take it apart.
How old were you when you started doing that?
16.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you were already thinking about how to build like audio booths at 16 years old.
Apparently, yeah. I don't know. Shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. I don't know. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I like building shit. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my mom was like, well, as long as it can come apart. Well, it didn't come apart,
No.
I stayed there till I was 22.
Wow.
I think around there.
They saw that you were serious about it, though. Like,
Yeah, my
obviously
parents have
there's
always
something to
been
that.
really supportive of
Yeah.
me and like whatever I wanted to do
So
as far
cool.
as music and recording. My dad, he studied, or he was big into higher education, or still is into higher education, and he researched every single program in the United States of like where I could go for studio production, and we found the perfect fit.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's freaking
Wait,
awesome.
so I think that's something worth noting. Like, I think a lot of parents want, I don't know, like, to move their kids in a certain direction. It's dope. I mean, I don't hear that a lot, that like your dad valued higher education, but also saw where you were leaning and going, and was like, all right, well, we're going to marry the two, instead of being like, no, you should go to law school.
Right.
Some shit like that.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Uh-huh. So, yeah, I mean, that was one of the catches, though. They wanted me to get a 4-year degree.
Got it.
So we found the perfect fit at SUNY Purchase Music Conservatory up in New York.
Okay.
And it's a 4-year bachelor's in music. but the concentration was in studio production.
Okay.
So that's where I went to school. Now most of the learning is done in the field, so I didn't particularly like school very much. I kind of did it, but I was constantly traveling, and I was dating my now wife at the time for 2 years long distance. I was constantly traveling back from New York to Mississippi.
Got it.
Like every other weekend.
Yeah. Where are you from originally, like born and raised?
Well, I wasn't born here in South Florida, but I moved here when I was 2, so I call myself a native.
Yeah. Okay. So you grew up here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right, and then ended up going to... Oh, okay, so...
We're tangenting a lot. Like I told you, we're gonna tangent.
No, it's good. It's good because I'm learning a lot of this stuff for the first time too. Like, I've been around and getting to know everybody for a year, but like we intentionally just don't talk about some of these things. I think because the gold happens when we sit down now and talk about them. So
yeah,
it's cool. All right, so please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the recording studio, my parents' garage, and just kind of learn the chops. And funny enough, Barrett and I go way back actually to that time,
which I want to talk about. Like, when did you guys meet?
I mean,
or at least like
officially, I guess is a rough
know
term.
of each other.
But I mean, the first time I remember like recognizing Alex was he was 2 years older than me, but went to the same high school, and it was his band that he was talking about, and they were playing in the courtyard at lunch, and it was just like the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. Like something out of like a random movie or something. But it was really cool, and I was I started playing guitar when I was like 13, so it was like, oh shit, you can like do this, this is something you can find people here and actually like maybe play music, and then from there we kind of just made contact through the music, and I actually ended up recording in that box he built in his parents' garage.
No
That's why I bring it up. He was like one of my first clients, if you want to say.
And I didn't know that you could even do things like that. And like I remember he was I think home from school, but he was like even telling me like microphone techniques, and it was like my first audio engineering like lesson probably was him like telling me like, all right, if you put a microphone like straight on and then one at a 45-degree angle, you can get like an extra sound out of like the guitar amp and stuff. And I was
That's called the Duderman setup.
Yeah, that was your professor, right?
Sorry, Duderman, not Duderman. I know a Duderman now.
Yeah.
Denenberg. My professor at SUNY Purchase created this technique. I told you you're going to nerd out, right? So I'll just jump into this real quick. So
do it. I'm all ears.
The technique is mainly for guitar amps.
Okay.
You've got 2 microphones, typically either an SM7B straight on the cone or an SM57, and then a second microphone is right 45 degrees off the cone at the same angle. Okay. And there's something about the way that the phasing or whatever, I don't know exactly what, but it's like this magical combination of those 2 microphones, and you sum them up mono, so you're not doing like a stereo thing with them, and it's like fattens up the sound. It's really, really interesting. Dope. Yeah.
There you go. Bing. Tip number 1.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, and I picked that one up from him years ago, and just kind of followed what he had been doing like since then. And then this started when I had moved out to Seattle for a little bit of time, and I remember thinking like, oh shit, this is really cool. They're getting like some bands that like I really enjoyed listening to and everything. Like I didn't realize like, when you're first starting, you're like, yeah, it'd be really cool to do that. But you never really think like that's going to necessarily happen. And when you start seeing it happen for someone you know and everything, it's really cool. And I remember like reaching out to him and everything when that was happening. And then just over time, eventually I came back and we kept that connection going. And that's kind of how I landed myself in this seat. But we go back quite a ways.
Circle. Yeah. So I mean, but you started getting more serious with audio and things like that. So then you guys reconnected. When did you reconnect as adults though? Because obviously you went way back, but then
it's been a lot, just like little bits over the years, right?
Yeah, I want to say like first maybe reach out with someone in like 2018 or something. Then I missed like a call from him in like 2019, I think. And then like somewhere around 2020 or so, again, he reached back out and we kind of had made some contact. And then it was like officially, I don't know why I will remember this forever, but it was March 3rd. It was like my first session with the Super Villains. Yeah. It's an anniversary. So. But I remember that like it was March 3rd, we came back and like it just was kind of like never stopped, you know, like walking right back into what was Casement's basement again and just
Wow.
picking up,
That
you
was
know?
the first name of
Yep.
the studio.
Casement's basement.
Horrible
That's
name.
right.
I even
Dude,
had a
I
logo.
thought it was a
It's
clutch
bug,
name. I'm not
actually.
gonna lie, yeah.
I got that name put on the back of my car at the one point
Yeah.
with my phone number for advertising.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
was
but
so
you would
lame.
hear about it at school. Like, yeah, I was at a Casement's basement. I was like, damn it, that sounds cool. Like, you know, so yeah.
I have a question. This is
Yeah.
totally going to throw these dudes off because
boy.
we didn't talk about this at all.
Nice.
You know, a lot of people that follow Sugarshack, you know, this position, Barrett, that you're in now, this audio position. I mean, a lot of people would want to be in your shoes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, you know, I mean, over the years, how many people have asked for, you know, these types of opportunities. So my question is actually for Alex, and that's, what did you and do you see in Barrett that sets him apart
Oh, snap.
Oh, nice.
than maybe other people?
Little ego inflation for me.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good
Okay.
question, right? Like, I
All
want to
right.
know.
I'll answer it,
because,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, can ease my imposter syndrome a little bit, you know.
I have it too. Don't worry.
I mean, it's easy to say that history is a big part of it.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's just a natural feel when the friendship's already been there. So,
yeah,
you know, it wasn't like I'm trying to like interview some guy or girl and it's like, hey, you know, what do you know? You know, it's all
are you?
it's all awkward and you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. For the last 7 or 8 years we've been doing this, I've been running solo
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I gotta have some help. You know, it's like way too much. And Barrett, I don't know, over the last like 3 years or so, like he said, I kind of reached out and I saw him, you know, he was doing his recording studio thing and he had Banana Recording and
Yeah.
I kind of saw that and I'm like, damn, he looks like he's kind of taking this a little seriously. You know, it's not just like, he's just kind of like running some microphones once in a while. Like he's like
Yeah.
trying to run a business, start up his own thing. So I kind of just picked his brain a little bit and then nothing kind of came from it. And then a year later, same thing. And then finally, like you said, that March 3rd date or whatever, I was like, Barrett, do you want to be a part of Sugarshack? Like,
Yeah.
do you want to come try to be an audio assistant?
yeah,
And now it's turned into like a full on, like, you know, he's second audio engineer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his shit. He's proven that over the last year or so, 9 months, whatever it's been. So every time I'm like, you know, I've got a question or I'm talking to a band about something, and then he'll jump in, and I'm just like, you know about that? All right,
Things YouTube
Alright,
has
cool.
been great
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
You know.
cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I mean, Barrett's already, I mean, you've run a couple audio sessions solo, right? Like,
Yeah.
you did the Hales.
Yeah, the Hales
sessions?
and Sensi Trails was my first solo one.
Wow.
Definitely shaky vibes on that one, you know, and everything, getting it all dialed in. But it
Big
you know,
challenge.
yeah, it went great. It seems like those are some of my favorite sessions to go back to listen to because it was like, you know, the initial.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm excited for the future. I even the studio. So I like I said, I have a recording studio that I've run now. I've had an actual spot other than my parents' garage.
Casement's Basement 2.0.
Oh yeah. Park Shore Recording Studio, as the
That's
name's
right.
been for
Yeah.
years. And I'm ready to kind of even just hand that over almost a whole studio. I mean, we're gonna do Sugarshack Recording Studio in the future. We'll get into that here in probably a year or so. But
stay tuned.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
like-
is there
I'm at
anything
the
that we
point where I'm
want
like,
to talk
God, like,
about
Barrett can
in
run
regards to
that.
Sugarshack Records? I
Well,
mean, that's a big part of our vision, right? A pillar
Yeah.
that
the
we wanna
Sugarshack
move-
Recording Studio.
Recording studio. Oh,
Not
what
records.
did I say? Records. Oh, it's different.
Records is the record label. That's
Okay.
how we release things online. But we're talking about Sugarshack Recording Studio. It'll be
Got
a
it.
physical location people can come record
Got
albums
it.
at. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
apologies.
No, that always gets confused. People
yeah,
think
it
they always
mixes
say
up. People
Sugarshack
mix it
Records, and it's like those are two totally different things.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a vision to see us establish a Sugarshack recording studio.
That's
Absolutely.
the vision.
Yeah.
That's the vision.
Yeah. We don't want to get
here
too
for
far into it because we don't have the exact plan in
Sure.
place, but that
Sure.
is the vision. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. It's awesome.
Experience the joy of growing your own citrus tree with Via Citrus. Via Citrus delivers Florida citrus trees directly from their family farm to you. They arrive to your door ready to grow right from the box. Whether you're looking to enhance your backyard, brighten up the office, or add something fresh to your apartment, Via Citrus connects you to the perfect tree. They can even thrive indoors, with repeat customers as far as Alaska. All you need is daily direct sunlight for 4 to 6 hours and your tree can flourish inside. With 6 varieties available and more coming soon, Via Citrus trees are the perfect addition to your home. Order your citrus tree today with 3-day shipping by visiting viacitrus.com.
Let's talk about, the Sugarshack sound.
Oh boy.
How have we curated it? How have you curated it? I mean, obviously it's been an evolution, but what are some of the principles and philosophies that create that sound for you?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's been a natural evolution. That's how Sugarshack in general has always been from day one. Back to like the original first session we did, it was just, how can we, Eddie called me up, it's like, hey, can you come record outside? And I'm like, sure, I guess so. I never really done that before.
Yeah.
And most engineers will think I'm out of my mind bringing like really nice condenser microphones and things and just like throwing them outside in like 100% humidity and it's like rain sometimes. And it's like, I'm just like, screw it.
Covering them up with tarps.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something really cool about recording outside that I've just learned to absolutely fall in love with. And it's just all about ambience. That's kind of where I've learned and I embrace now is just it's all about the ambience, the environment you're recording in.
Yeah.
Compared to a studio where you're literally trying to get rid of the environment.
Right.
Now it's like we're
Sterilize
going somewhere for the environment and what it sounds like. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of really where it started. And, there's something about that deck behind us that, I don't know, there's some vibe, man. And just the trees and the sound of the wind and the crickets you'll hear in the background.
Yeah.
We've never like tried to edit any of that out.
The Traeger humming.
The Traeger
That's
humming,
right.
oh my
like
gosh.
a jet engine.
It's beautiful. It's a
Birds
beautiful
really
sound.
get me.
But then there's also a lot of the technical stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
We've always been 100% live. So that means we're not going to sit there and edit this session to death and redo, vocal takes if you don't like it or anything like that. So, it kind of goes back to the way that recordings originally started. Before we had all this editing software and all this crazy stuff that you can do nowadays, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but in my opinion, there's a little bit of magic that's kind of gotten lost in the recording process now that we have all this, and we're kind of bringing it back old school. So, like an original recording that you'd hear from the 1950s or whatever, 1960s, that's the musicians playing in a room together.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And if I may, like, one thing I notice, I like to read through the comments, and it's always, Alex has done all the mixing and everything for 8 years at this point, so it's all kudos to him, but it's always interesting to see, and I don't want to take anything away from any of the studio, like, engineers or producers these bands work with, because I don't necessarily think the folks mean that the song is better this way, necessarily, or the audio is always going to be necessarily better, but I do think when he's saying like keeping it stripped down and keeping it all organic like that provides the listener something they're not used to anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's a good way to
what
put
I
it.
think kind of makes them think
totally.
it's a different experience now.
Yeah.
So maybe not better all the time than like everything else, but it's different enough to where it makes you go and like ponder why maybe. And I think that's more or less why is the keeping it stripped down and keeping it back to the basics of like what he was saying, when they only had the 2-track recorder and you were going to tape and it was like, that's on the tape. You can't erase that really, like you're not going to sit there and cut tape for hours. So
Right.
why would we do it now?
Yeah. So the heart of any good recording is about the performance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where like the basics of what we're
I
doing.
remember, this is so far back, but I remember sitting down with Cass Haley, and he had shared about, learning and just his journey and learning, like how even emotion is conveyed through the recording process.
Yeah.
And that's another component when we're talking about like those live and like ambient moments. There's emotion, there's energy.
That's it.
In that
Yep.
environment that is being captured.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But it's not necessarily audible. It's just felt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
somehow
man,
like lives
that's right. I remember
on
listening to
in the recording. But I think when we
It's so
try
true.
to create these really sterile environments, right?
It takes away from
it's
that.
sterile.
Scrub
Emotionally,
it,
it's sterile.
yeah.
It's hard to convey and transfer that emotion? You know, why is it
Yeah.
that we can listen to like a song that has, you know, a chord progression of G, C, D, C over and over again, but it's the words that are used and it's the emotion that's conveyed that we'll listen to that song 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
sure.
mean?
No,
Like,
yeah.
it could be the simplest thing, but we're captivated by it. And I think it's capturing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like I said, the technical stuff comes into play after that.
Yeah.
Performance, then technical.
Yeah.
But one thing that my philosophy on it is throw a microphone on it. Don't overthink it. Now, people think I'm crazy, and yes, I know the difference between all the different microphones and the different sounds they produce and etc. But at the end of the day, throw a microphone on it. It's all about the performance. That being said, of course, we do have particular microphones we like to use for certain situations, etc. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The go-tos.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the old adage, you can't polish a turd. We're very lucky we don't have any turd bands. You know,
Yeah,
no
right.
turd bands.
Yeah, we don't
here.
allow the
So,
turd bands
yeah,
here.
there's no turd bands here, so it's awesome.
I
you know?
mean, pop genre tells me otherwise.
Yeah.
these days, but
I mean, they're
you're
getting
right.
really good.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
But technical stuff, I mean, so the biggest thing that we're battling when it comes to this is microphone bleed.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, they don't realize because the video makes it look like this big deck.
So yeah.
It is not.
Yeah. It's true.
It is a
Microphone
very
bleed.
small, tight space. The wide angles just are magical.
Would you say that's like the greatest challenge of like running sound on the deck?
100%. But at the
Microphone
same
bleed.
time,
Yeah.
it getting back to the whole feeling. Everyone's tight together, and it
Yeah.
feels like you're just sitting in a circle like we are playing music together.
Right.
You know, and that's where
Mike's picking up other
Yeah.
instruments. It kind of
Yeah.
pulls it together.
Yeah, but like for example, like acoustic guitar, which is like a staple of Sugarshack sessions, right?
Yeah.
We want to keep everything as acoustic as possible. It's kind of evolved into like the one rule is like no electric guitar.
Yeah.
Everything else is cool, but
Yeah.
anyways, so on acoustic guitar, typically you'll do like a condenser microphone on like the 12th fret area. That's kind of like a standard recording technique for an acoustic guitar. You know,
Okay,
any
yeah.
basic audio engineer will know that, right?
Yeah.
And here, like, it's like, okay, we're not throwing a condenser on there if there's a whole bunch of like drums and stuff going on right next to it, so
Yeah.
we'll throw like a 57 just to be safe. It's got
Got
a
it.
little bit more of a, close
a
range,
narrow,
narrower,
Yeah.
whatever that's called.
Sound cone.
You just
you go.
wouldn't get enough
Whatever.
audio
Yeah.
information from the guitar to the microphone all the way over there with everything else going on that's going to be fighting for that
Yeah.
same space.
Right.
So.
And I'll tell Barrett now, it's like just throw it right on the sound hole, which is
Yeah.
something like you typically don't want to do.
I get pushed back on that a lot
Yeah.
from like the guitarists, and I put it there like,
Yeah.
no, you want to put it up here? I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. Can we please just
Alex
try
doesn't
this?
know what he's
Like,
doing,
yeah.
but he's telling me what to do.
Right.
Yeah,
Just be
yeah.
like, I'm the new guy, but just
Right.
trust me. I'm just following
That's right.
orders.
I got a manual here. I
Yeah.
just read off
Yeah.
this. Like,
So yeah, I mean, it sounds silly, but we're just trying to get as much information out of that guitar as possible, and then we'll combine it with the technique we've kind of learned over time is combine it with a DI. So you're doing a microphone signal and a DI input from the guitar. And one of the cool techniques that I've learned over the years to do is you actually create a stereo image out of the two of them.
Okay.
So you'll take the microphone channel, pan it a little bit left. I'm not a big, huge, like, major panner. Like, I'm not going to, like, put it, like, 100% or whatever.
Yeah.
But you put, like, 30, maybe 40% left for the guitar signal, or for the microphone signal, and then kind of 30, 40% right for the DI signal, and it opens up this stereo image, and you kind of get this bigger than normal sound out of it. It's kind of like a way to, like, fake, like, a studio recording of it.
Got it.
yeah, all you
I'm
new
taking
engineers.
mental notes right
yeah,
now.
I was gonna say, all you new engineers, circle back
Yeah.
and re-listen to that and
Yeah.
apply that.
Tip
Yeah.
number 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a studio technique. So you want me to get into, like, technical stuff? Or should we save it?
Can go anywhere we want it to go.
That's true.
We're in charge of this shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? So let's get
Because
technical
it
with
kind
it.
of gets off. Like, this is like a studio technique is what I'm getting at that I like to apply.
Go for it.
Okay, so that's like faking what I like to do in a studio environment.
Got it.
Where you just have a guitarist playing and you're able to control, the
Yeah.
microphones and such. And with that, a lot of people typically like to just do what I said earlier. You throw a condenser mic on the 12th fret area and you kind of get a nice overall sound. What I like to do, I'm huge into stereo imaging, like I'm saying, and width in the recording and
Yeah.
depth and
Yeah.
making it sound big, full,
Yeah.
like you're there. Obviously, that's what you get with, like, a Sugarshack session sound. But in the studio, instead of just having a guitar, mono, and then you can pan it wherever you want to mix. I like to create width out of it. So I do a stereo miking technique. I prefer AKG C414s, the XL2s, the gold face.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful on anything percussive and string instruments. They have a really fast transient response, so it just brings a little bit of shine into whatever it's picking up. So I like to put one of those on the bridge of the guitar for the left channel and one on the 12th fret area, and those are hard pan left right stereo.
Got it.
And when you open up the preamps and you kind of start hearing and you balance it, it's like this amazing stereo image. Like if you're sitting right at the mixing, I mean, it'll blow your mind.
Wow.
Compared to a mono.
It's nice.
And you don't have to do anything to that other than a little EQ compression, and it just sits in that mix beautifully.
Yeah, when he brought me
Sick.
into the studio and was kind of showing me the whole setup, that was one of the first things we did. Is we put a singer-songwriter on a stool with their vocal mic, and then had me throw up the two 414s, and then bring up each side until it just like sits perfectly in the center, but like it's not just coming from the middle, it's coming from all around, but starting there.
Yeah.
It's really something special, and that's definitely something cool to be able to try to re-emulate with the mic technique and DI technique we do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for all the nerds out there, kind of what that's actually doing in a technical way is it's called phasing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's stereo, and yes, it's pan left, right. If you had the exact same signal, then it would just sound like it's right up the middle.
yeah.
But if you think of a phase and like a sine wave is like an up and down, right? So the sound coming off that guitar is literally a wave of sound going at each microphone, and it takes a little bit different of a time period. We're talking milliseconds for it to go from the guitar to each microphone, and that creates, so you've got one wave going up like this, right? Maybe the next one's over here, and the way they cross, it's going to sound like there's a delay in what you're hearing in each microphone because of that little bit of millisecond delay, and it creates like this width to it.
Interesting.
And that's another technical thing I guess I'll get into. You're getting me nerd, man. I'll talk.
That's why we're doing this. I mean, a lot of people want to know how we've achieved this sound, and you're opening up about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So
to those that really dig into this podcast and listen to the whole thing, there's gold in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's a mixing technique that, like I said, I'm all about width, all about depth and mix. You can take a mono signal, like a guitar or whatever, and do what I'm talking about with a stereo delay. So you can take, it's literally a stereo delay. So you got one channel panned hard left, one channel panned hard right, and you set the time the time delay on the right channel like 30 milliseconds or something like that, and then you'll hear it kind of doing that opening up effect with
Got
the
it.
phasing of it, because it's like this. It's like, I think it's up to like 100 milliseconds, something around there. I don't know the exact number for technical people, but where all of a sudden it'll start sounding like a delay, but it doesn't sound like a delay up until that
I
period.
thought I think it's 20 milliseconds, honestly.
20?
Like anything
Okay.
below sounds like a doubling and thickening or whatever.
Yeah.
And after that, you start to hear like the delay.
Right.
But
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I mean, for me, it's dope because, like growing up, like I relate to what you're saying about like some of the home recording stuff. Like, so being 15, 16 years old, I was doing that. I was like hacking, my laptop. I was using the sound card on my laptop and just, recording in with like an audio jack. But we were figuring it out, you know what I mean? And, and just learning how to get creative and resourceful and like embracing the limitations to make it sound cool and just being like, well, it's going to sound like this and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
And, so it's cool to get a lot of these tips and tricks because I think, a lot of these are still accessible. Maybe like we don't have several $1,000s of condenser mics just sitting at home as like singer-songwriters, but I can take some of my other ones and like just, work on mic placement and get creative and test things out. And
Throw a mic on it.
And
Throw a
using the
mic on it,
technique
yeah.
he just listed, I'm pretty sure like any free software you could accomplish what he was just talking
Yeah.
about doing.
Yeah, totally.
Even
Like
a
so,
GarageBand
it's,
or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was thinking. So
We're Pro Tools guys here, though.
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Pro Tools guys.
It's more than just the cup that brings warmth and focus to your daily routine. It fuels good times and new beginnings, and unites old friends. And like live music, we gather wherever it's brewing. Beneath these palms, we discuss our dreams, We share songs of love, intention, and inspiration in its purest form. Every pour sparks creativity, and every sip starts a story.
So, Barrett, you're new to the team. I mean, really, it's been
Yeah.
about how long has it been? March? So
It'd be about 10 months.
10 months. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You know, Barrett and I like started coming around at the same time. We were kind of like new guys. So it's fun. I mean, a lot of the guys here don't know this, but I remember sitting down. We were sitting down here in the green room area of the shack. And we were sitting over here, and I was like, started to ask you questions. And I think this was right before we were asked officially to join the team.
Yeah.
And but we kind of felt it coming, and I was like, bro, are we on the same page here? Like, is this happening? Is the Sugarshack team opening up right now? Are we like the new guys? And we like got super giddy about it. But it was cool
Yeah.
during that time for me, dude, because I felt maybe a little like not alone, but I was experiencing something like, oh my God, this is happening. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'm on a trajectory to become part of this team, but I didn't have anybody to share that experience or emotion with until one day I connected with you.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I'm feeling the same exact thing. And we were able to like share stories and stuff. And
It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It was a really cool bonding moment for me.
Absolutely.
You know? And we haven't gotten a chance to really talk about it, but it was special to know, like, okay, there are other people that are experiencing the same stage now, because I mean, you guys, Alex, the OG crew, I mean, you guys built it from day one. You've just been evolving with it, and it's been growing, you know. But like for new guys like us, we're coming in super intimidated by it,
Yeah.
you know, and like feeling the weight of what this could mean for our lives,
Yeah.
you know, and just feeling like I don't have anybody I could talk to about this.
I know, I'll like call up my like old like bandmates every once in a while and be like, all right, this is like what's happening, and like they get kind of the gravity of it and can be excited for me, but like
Yeah.
it can definitely be hard. So having someone else who was like here really kind of getting it was nice to be able to like ease in a little bit, because I mentioned it to Alex, it was almost like the team has something of like a gravitational pull.
Yeah.
So it's like once you're here, you're sucked
Yeah.
into that, you know, and it's about like, all right, where is my place within this orbit now, you
Yeah.
know, and like really trying to see like, I mean, because you notice like the benefit on your life immediately, like when you show up here, it's like the only time you're like, all right, let's clock in for work, let's get started
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
work, you know, and it's
My
just
quality of
great.
life has gone through the roof since
Exactly,
joining
yeah.
the Sugarshack team.
My music credits beforehand. Now I love all my friends. I've had a great time recording with them, but it didn't go beyond my Facebook friends list, really.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like now it's like all of a sudden I was this morning mixing. One of my first sessions I've got to mix for Sugarshack, but it was a band that I've grown up listening to through like high school and everything. And
Yeah.
I was just like, how did this become a thing?
Yeah.
Like how, you know,
How is this my job now?
yeah, it's like what is going on? Who do I tell? You know,
Yeah.
again, it's
Yeah.
like that.
That can
whole
really
feeling
understand how special it is.
Again. Yeah, because it's like
So you started that mix?
yes, I started that mix. Yeah.
Can't wait to
By
hear
the
it.
way, I think it's coming along great, y'all. So yeah. But yeah, and that's been another thing when we talk about the Sugarshack sound. It's been cool to kind of like sit in, watch over his shoulder, and kind of listen to like what's happening and learning. All right, like why is he making this choice? Why is he not making this choice? And everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I like see these shoes that I'm trying to fill in these different areas from him, and I definitely get it. It's like, all right, there's this whole thing happening, like where do I jump in and like who do I tell about it, you know, like
Who
yeah,
can I tell
yeah,
right now about it?
exactly, yeah.
How long, I mean, the 10-month process for you, I mean, obviously we feel like we're getting pretty settled into our new roles.
Yeah.
But how long do you feel like it took you before you settled and you were like, oh, this is real. I am becoming part of this team.
Oh, shit.
Like that it really, you know, because for the longest time for me at least, and maybe I'm just like, you know, pasting this thought onto you, but like there were times like I'd come in, even doing a podcast, I'd leave and I'd be like, I don't know if I'm a part of the team yet. I'm filming fucking podcasts.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean? And I still wasn't like, had not fully convinced myself. Like I think I don't know if we were rolling yet, but you said something about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And like I still feel that way sometimes. I'm like,
100%.
what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah. No,
You know?
I think my moment, honestly, this is sadly too, is probably like a month and a half ago. So like really deep into it. But when I got sent to Janice to record Tropodelic and Bumpin' Uglies, I was like by myself up there on the stage. Like I had gotten like a couple like, you know, distinct pleasures to record some other big bands, and working with Alex on the main stage a couple times, the Reggae Rise Up, you know, it was
I
like,
threw him into the loop a
yeah,
couple times.
yeah.
Threw him to the wolves.
But it went well, and I was like, all right, I can do this. So I remember having that thought. But then like, there's a difference between having the thought that you can do it and then being sent by yourself to go do it.
Yeah, and you're
And
like,
then-
it's just me here.
Yeah. And there were like a few things that happened where I was like, shit, I needed to be there, needed to know what I was doing for that to have like gone over successfully like
Yeah.
it did. So I think like on the ride back for that, like I feel bad. They like asked me like, so did you have fun? I was like, no. But I did, but like it was just, it
felt
was
the
the
weight
first
of it.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is more than just me hanging out, you know, at the back porch having a good time. This is me like
Yeah.
having to be a serious professional and be part of this team and really like remember that there is a serious quality that is, you know, synonymous with Sugarshack that I want to make sure I am, if not achieving, exceeding if I can in any way. And not to say that that's something I think is even possible, but it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to give it every bit I can.
standards,
Like,
yeah.
the guys
That's
were
why
laughing
you're
at
our
me.
audio engineer.
That's right, man.
I
yeah.
like that answer.
You know, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I was working that boom mic on Brandon, and I was doing the best I could.
Does
I'd
that
never,
on the spot outside?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and I'd never held one of those boom mics before in my life, but I was like, I'm gonna do this the best I can, and you know,
I'm gonna
like
fake it till I make it.
exactly. That's
all
the
we've
name
all
of the
ever done
game.
anyways.
Yeah, you know, when you start to realize that, and it's like, okay, that's fine then. All right, we all have imposter syndrome. You know, like it's
Yeah.
no one belongs there, but everyone belongs here. You know, like that's part of it. If you show up, you belong. As long as you
Yeah.
do what you're supposed to. You know.
So you do what you're supposed to.
Yeah, do your
And
damn
that
job.
you're good at
like,
it.
yeah. But yeah,
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's funny. We've had a bunch of questions come in from Instagram, but I didn't bring my phone. Can anybody help me get my phone? Total fail. Or just pull up Instagram for me.
wants to shout out
Sorry.
some questions.
We are super professional, and sometimes we fuck it up. You know, smoke too much weed
Justin,
at 10
can you make sure
a.m.
it's
Yeah.
still recording?
Went for a golf cart ride.
Just you'll see.
We got
it
two
recording.
iPads on the set. We got two iPads. Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's red. All right, we're good. We're
Nice.
Host fail.
well, no, it's good. It's just we're like supposed to be like doing our jobs, but we're here talking about our jobs.
Oh.
We're doing both. At the same time. I gotta make
Wait,
sure
but
it's
we're
still
good? We can
recording.
do these Q&A
just checking, make sure it's
Okay,
still
cool,
recorded.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we do when we do an internal podcast. We're like, well, we
video
should be
guys
over
had to check
there.
the audio.
We're-
Yeah.
I'll find it for you.
All right. Cool.
Dope. Oh, here's a fun one. Have you been to Canada in the winter? Just curious.
Yeah. Actually,
I have not.
I was 19 years
I don't
old.
think I would want to. The person that asked this question's got like a snowman and that like frigid emoji face. That doesn't
You
sound...
trying to make us go to Canada in the winter?
No, I don't.
I did.
don't know.
SUNY purchase. My boys and I, we went up to Canada in like December.
So you
That's
have
so
been
funny
to
you asked that. Yes.
maybe they
It was
met you.
horrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so
'Cause
funny.
we were right on the border, so it's like
What's one artist that you want to work with but have not yet? This comes from Jacob. Well, it looks like tacos with a K, so I'm just gonna say tacos. Jacob Tacos.
man, that's a long list.
So
But
just one. What's the top that you want to work with but you haven't yet?
somebody that's realistic. I'd say either Jack Johnson
Oh yeah.
or this one might be out of reach. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Yeah.
never say never, baby.
Yeah. They're
That
still
would be
they're still
You know,
sick as
they're still putting out music.
fuck. Yeah.
I'd
We
probably have to say Dispatch. The boys from Dispatch.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
We've already been talking.
Yeah. That. Yeah. yeah.
Probably shouldn't say that.
What has been? This is from someone Addison. What has been the biggest upgrade to your equipment?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
That's been a lot over the years. You know, just kind of evolves. It's funny when you start out like in a band and recording and stuff, you're like, oh, I want everything to like be all big and cool looking and whatever. Even if like you don't use it, you're like, I'm gonna put this rack unit in here because it looks cool. And now it's all about like, how can I get as much done as I need to in the smallest package
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Streamline.
So I would say it's not like a big upgrade, but it's transformed kind of the mobile recording rig. We purchased a couple PreSonus Studio Live 32Rs, and those are 32 channel input interfaces.
Very
Oh,
awesome.
wow, yeah.
So
So the
like we can go to a
mobility, yeah.
festival, show up with like this little rack unit, and be like, we're ready to plug in
Yeah.
and record up to
Absolutely.
64
Where's our USB
channels.
port?
Yeah.
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 I mean, they bring out the big 64 channel split. You plug it all into this little box, and you've got the whole stage.
Which really, this is the crazy thing to me. That's really all you need, right? Like when you bring that
Yeah.
in, you just need one port. You just need whoever you're working with to give up one audio port, one USB
Well,
port.
that's a complicated question.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it depends on the
Yes.
rig that they're using.
There's
Yes.
analog and digital
Yeah.
splits when it comes to big stages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the digital world, it's all these different protocols. Like, for example, Dante is like one of the main ones.
Yes. And you need like cards for that.
There's different cards, etc. Maddie is like an older one.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple interfaces, like a Maddie interface, where I could literally, if that particular band is running like a Maddie protocol for their digital splits and all that,
Okay.
I could plug into one of their Maddie ports and I could get up to whatever amount of channels. Yeah.
So you need that information going into projects.
Yeah. But if you're going into a festival and you're recording 10 bands at the festival, like we do a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be different all the time. So the safer way to go is analog. So now we've learned to advance and, in advance, what we need. And typically that's an analog designated split, ISO split, off their main ISO split.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get
Which
that.
just that
sometimes
one
we don't.
split, it can be hard
Yeah.
to get, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we've lost
they're like,
that
"Nope, we
split
need it."
before, and it was tragic feeling for me. I was like,
We woke up on a Saturday to go to the main stage and check that we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name names, but one of the headliners had taken our split from us,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, you're not getting that back. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is going to make our day really difficult.
yeah.
We figured it out, but we couldn't record like one of the bands we were going to.
Yeah, you lose some
just-
content
yeah.
when you don't have that set up, and you
All
definitely
you need is
wanna-
one split, one
Yeah.
ISO split.
That's right.
So
yeah.
instead of us recording, we had to go to some of the bands that had their own digital monitoring setup, and then they could record off of their own
Because you
digital
just need
monitoring
raw audio
console.
file.
That's right. yeah.
It gets really complicated. You're not just plugging into like the front of house console and calling it a day. Like it
Yeah.
gets really
Got it.
complicated, and who's got what, and et cetera.
Damn.
Yeah.
Any other genres that y'all want to capture that you have not yet captured?
Totally. Yeah. A lot of people pigeonhole us into this that we're a reggae channel. That's not true.
Yeah.
We do a lot more than that. It's just that the reggae stuff seems to do a lot better in our prime
Right.
demographic.
And that's just
It
kind of
seems to
what we've
which is
built,
fine. Yeah, that's
right?
kind of
Yeah.
where it's gone organically. But
Yeah.
personally, I'm a huge, don't give me shit for this, country fan. Love country music. A lot of people don't. It's fine. So
Yeah.
I want to see the country scene grow in the Sugarshack.
I'd like a little bit of a bluesy Americana. Definitely
Yeah, me
fits with what's
too.
going on. I could
Nathaniel
definitely
Rateliff,
that indie.
little
yeah,
that would be mine. Get Nathaniel
absolutely.
Rateliff at the shack.
Yeah.
Baby.
Who's the other?
We've worked
Another
with
one,
them
not necessarily
before,
right
just
up
not
our
in the
alley.
music.
Yeah, St. Paul and the Broken Bones would be another cool kind of
that's
thing
cool.
I would like to see.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Like Shaky
Final
Graves for me.
question
Yeah.
here. By our very own Justin. Do you drink on the job?
But yeah.
Never.
Drink
How
on
do
the
you think
job.
we get through the day? This shit ain't easy, bro.
It was
As
part of
you're
my
sipping
contract.
beer out of your coffee mugs right now.
Oh my gosh. Thanks,
This is
Justin.
a nice roast, all right?
That was actually one of the. That's funny. I don't want to promote drinking, but I guess I'm going to. So I don't smoke. I'm one of the only people in the music industry that doesn't smoke weed.
I've never touched it.
Never heard of it.
I've always been. I'll drink a little more than maybe I should sometimes, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, Barrett shows up for his first session. And the guys took a picture of the windowsill inside where our booth
For
is. It's just,
Supervillains? Was this Supervillains
probably,
session? Yeah.
and it's just empty cans.
Also-
I'm like, he fits the bill.
I want to say, I think that's been an Alex staple since he started recording. Because I remember my recording session at Casement's basement. I think it was
17-year-old Alex
Heineken's, but
drinking.
like, yeah, just loaded with,
mean,
we were drinking
This
beers
sounds so
then
bad.
too.
I'm not
so,
like this like crazy alcoholic guy. I
no,
promise.
but it's like we're kicking back, we're relaxing, having a good time, and it's you know, like, as long as you're able to stay over the session as it's, you know, going, have a beer too, you know?
Yeah.
Or 10.
Or
Well, not.
if it's a double, maybe, you know?
It's great.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for taking the time today
Yeah,
and
Bryce, thank
answering the questions. This has been a great time. Anything else you want to send out? Anything you want to share with the fans, with the family?
I go all day.
Yeah, thank you for listening is a huge one, honestly. And again, I like reading through the comments. I've already indulged that. Keep it coming. Keep telling Alex how great he is. I like telling him.
Awesome.
I guess if you see us at a festival, we'd love to chat with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like to
Yeah,
meet.
I would say, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the case, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are open to, you know, people that are serious to helping, share tricks and tips
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
resource. And
Hit us
so,
up. Email
yeah.
us.
I mean, community is a huge part of what like got me through like all the stages I needed to get here without any of like the education, you know, necessarily the formal education. So definitely, I think that should be 100% something we embrace. Is anyone who has questions, like, absolutely feel free to fire away, you know. And if you have something you think could even, you know, be a helpful tip, we'd love to hear it. At least I would. You
Yep.
know. Yeah.
cool. Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Super excited about, you know, the growth of Sugarshack Records, what Sugarshack Recording Studios maybe one day looks like down the road. We've such
yeah.
a big year planned. I mean, today is January 5th and 2022,
Oh,
and we
man.
got
We got-
so much
we got
in
goals.
store. We got big
right.
goals, big dreams, and so keep listening, keep sharing, keep spreading the word about everything that's happening at Sugarshack. Thanks for taking the time today. Make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, that you're hitting the like button. Share this episode with friends. Also, it's available on all DSPs, really on Spotify too. We'd love to see more engagement there, so give that a listen on Spotify. Share it with friends through that platform. We'd really be appreciative also of comments. Like, anytime you guys could drop a review on the Apple Podcasts platform, that helps us out a ton. Get the word out. And thanks so much for joining in. We'll see you next time. We're going to eat some food from our Traeger grill now. Later.